Good evening, everyone. I am your host and instructor, Laney Shaughnessy, and welcome to Spindle TV, your best source for CNC CAD/CAM training videos. Spindle TV is brought to you by Digital Wood Carver, inspiring your creativity and providing you with the tools to create your own unique masterpieces. Hello. Oh geez. Hold on, guys. You're gonna see a blank screen for a minute. You're only gonna see my, we need a camera. I need a camera. I don't have a camera. It's out in the shop. So, talk amongst yourselves. And we'll get started. So hang tight for 1 second. It's going to take about 2 minutes for me to go get the camera. I forgot that I was using it in the shop this morning. Alrighty, let's get this camera plugged in. Hold her tight. Alrighty. Alright, let's see what we got going on here. Alright, let's see here. Webcam. Settings for the webcam. Oh, I dropped the camera. Lord have mercy. Talk about your organizational skills. Hey guys and girls. I'm in black screen. Hold on a minute. Let's see here. We'll have ourselves a camera and a jiffy. All right, let's see what we can do here. Stand by. Oh my goodness. All right. One more time. So, talk amongst yourselves. We're about to get started. Now, if I can get old Streamlabs to work with me here, let's go with our webcam. There we go. There's that old camera.
Let's get that. Oh, it's blurry. Must have dropped the webcam. It's all pixelated. All right. Let's see if I can get her done. So anyway, I hope you guys girls are doing all right. Let's see if we can get this webcam. I thought I had everything just perfect. Perfect. All right, let's go with our default settings. Ooh, that camera's blurry. All right. Anyway, we won't be on the camera long. It's a little pixelated, guys and girls. Anyway, leave it to something. One of these days, I'm gonna have a perfect stream. You dropped it. Remember, I did drop it, and I dropped something. Hey, wake up, camera. Get cleared up. Anyway, hello from the frozen tundra of Atlanta. Speaking of frozen tundra, I was trapped in Newark, New Jersey the other night. I didn't think I was ever getting home. I finally got home today, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm happy to be coming here live to talk about our joinery. With a CNC, we don't typically think of joinery too much, but with certain setups, we can do finger joints, we can do mortise and tenons, we can do decorative miter type joints, we can do regular miter joints as well. But there's all kinds of CNC joinery. We that's why when we have like mortise and tenons, we have the dog bone fillets and things like that in there and all. We can also do dovetails. We can do dovetails on the flatbed of the CNC using the Dovetail Jig that it's one of the gadgets within Vectric. But we can also do dovetails off the front of the CNC, and that's, we can do through dovetails or have blind dovetails. And that tonight is what episode 1 of this joinery series is about. We're going to talk about through dovetails. Now, full disclosure, Legacy CNC did a video on through dovetails and did a phenomenal job. That's how I actually learned how to do through dovetails. They have a video out there talking about dovetails and stuff. And their instruction, they did a great job. Now, in their instruction, they used 2 different programs. They used TurboCAD to create the actual vectors, the line, the graphics and everything. And then they took that design out of TurboCAD over to the Vectric software just to create the toolpath. Well, I'm pretty much going to be regurgitating a lot of that information, except for we're not going to use a separate program. We're going to do everything in the Vectric software. One program is going to do all of the creation of the dovetail joints and layout and everything, and then we're going to create the toolpath. So we're not going to use an outside program, a CAD program or anything for this. We're going to do it right in the Vectric. And that, hopefully, that little distinction will make it a little bit different than what they did. But the actual layout, the same information and stuff could actually be seen in their videos as well. And again, they have done a fabulous job with it. It's how I learned how to do dovetails and everything. There wasn't a video out there that really explained the process as well as they did. And I'm going to relay that information, but I'm going to be doing it a little bit different. We're going to use some of the features within the Vectric software. Vectric VCarve Pro is what I'll be using for this. It can be done in Desktop Pro or Aspire. And we're going to create everything in this software, the designs, the layout and everything of the dovetails, the pin board and the tail board and everything. And then we're going to create the toolpaths. So if you see, if you're watching this video and you're like, man, I've seen that before, and Legacy did it, absolutely they did. And they did a fabulous job, in the video and everything. But again, they were using TurboCAD to lay things out, and then they brought it over to Vectric. I want to do it different. I want to do it all in the Vectric software. We have all the tools. There's no need for an outside CAD program. So with that being said, let's get into it. All right. So I've got some vectors and everything laid out on the screen that we're about to see. I'm about to switch over to. And what we're going to do is, even though I have everything laid out, we're going to recreate it so you can see the process of how you would lay out your through dovetails. Now, in the next series, we're gonna continue with the dovetail series. In the next lesson, we're gonna do half blind dovetails, completely different setup when you're doing half blind dovetails and everything. And this joinery series is kind of a prelude to, you know, we now have the DWC Joint Maker Jig for the 2440s that allows the 2440 to carve off the front of the table. Our jig holds our material vertically and horizontally to be able to do things like the half blind dovetails, decorative, cool little heart-shaped dovetails, whatever, you know, all kinds of different little joinery, you know, the finger joints and all kinds of neat stuff. So mortise and tenons and all. And so that item is actually up on the website under the accessories and everything. It is up for sale now and stuff. And there's a few of them out there already. Some people have already bought some. So I'm hoping that this will help those individuals create dovetails, and for those that want to kind of go at it on their own and be able to, you know, do things, you know, at least this will give you a lesson in a lot of things. We're going to be using a lot of tools in this, so set the subject line aside of the dovetails. We're going to be using the fillet tool. We're going to be using the extend tool. We're going to be using all of these tools within the software, our measurement tools and things like that. We're going to go into node editing and show it how to create and set start points. And then we're going to create toolpaths using vector selection orders and stuff. So all of these little tools, all these little lessons in this one topic here, whatever you take away from it, hopefully you'll take away some little snippet that's going to help you. All right. So all that being said, let's get on to it. And once again, welcome everybody. Welcome. And Dave Gatton, good to see you out here. Keith, William, Bob, Todd, John, and many others. Let's see here. So many. Tippy, thank you. You know what I'm thanking you for, Tippy. Jim, everybody. You guys are great. Thanks for putting up with me without having a camera for the first few minutes. Can't believe I left it out in the shop. But you know what I was doing? Something's coming down the future. You guys have probably seen it in the Planet CNC software. Transformational matrix. Hint. We're going to be talking about that coming up in the TNG software. Very cool things that we can do with that. Involves a camera, involves no camera, but we're, you know, all kinds of neat things. So that's why I had my camera on the shop. All right, let's get into it, guys and girls. Let's switch over to our Vectric screen. I'm going to go ahead and close down one of my programs. I don't need two of them open. And let's rock this joint. Got to make my camera a little bit bigger so you can see me. Jeez Louise. Okay. All right. That way you know I'm here. I'm still down here in this bottom left corner. All right. What you see on the screen, guys and girls, is you're going to see a layout of our dovetails here. We've got our tail board and our pin board. And you're looking at two separate views. You're looking kind of like a side view, basically, like if the board was laying horizontal on the table and I'm looking at a top view. But we're also looking at an end view of the board. An end view if I was looking at this board straight on and everything. So we have, and we'll call that the top view instead of the end view. But if I was looking straight on it, you're going to see that view. And you're going to see some options and things and circles and lines up here. We're going to get into all that. We're going to make all this. This is going to be our toolpath layouts and stuff, our vectors for our toolpath layout. But let's get over and let's talk. Let's start from the beginning down here. And let's talk about our initial layout. So right now, my initial layout, and let's do this. I'm going to start a new layer. Let's add a new layer here. And let's take this vector and make a copy of it to that new layer. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. Let's okay. All right, we're going to start from scratch. Oh, well, it would help if I bear with me a second. Move to layer one. There we go. All right, let's turn that layer off. Oh, you son of a gun. Wrong layer. There we go. All right, so let's talk about our dovetail bit profile. Now, this can be done with any dovetail bit, but we need to know the diameter, the dimensions of the bit. Now, my particular bit here is going to be a 3/8 inch, 3/8.375, 3/8 inch wide diameter bit. So I'm going to use my dimension tool here and lay some of this out for you. We're going to measure horizontally, and this is going to be the wide end of the bit, the business end of that bit. And notice how my numbers are really big, right? Let's size them down a bit. Let's go with a 0.25. And watch this. Now, a new tool, new thing in 9 and 9.5 is we can actually hold down our shift key and select on a dimension, and we can come in here and alter that dimension and stuff. We can even, you know, add custom text if we wanted to. So pretty cool stuff. That's something new. We weren't able to do that before. So the shift key, holding the shift key to select that, and then we can make changes and adjust it as we need. Now, while I got the dimension tool open, this is an 8-degree, 3/8 inch wide dovetail bit. Okay, 8 degrees. Now, of course, if I took my angle measurement tool here and I measured, if I came over and clicked on this corner and measured from here to here, and I measured this inside dimension, right, this inside dimension here, you're going to be seeing 82 degrees, right? 82 plus 8 is 90. So from 90 degrees, it's an 8-degree, 3/8 inch bit, okay? 82 degrees it's showing in the software, but that is, let's go ahead and let's hold down our shift key. Let's select on that, and let's use a custom text, and we'll just call this 8 degrees. All right. All right, so we got to draw out our bit. This is going to help us lay out our pin and tail boards and everything. And so I've gotten the bit already drawn out, and now I'm going to take this vector and let's move it over. Let's actually hold down the control key and we'll move a copy over. All right, so we'll keep our original intact, but let's come over here and let's look at our bit. Now, on our dovetails and everything, first thing we're going to make is our tail board here. That's what we're going to be laying out in our layout. And then once we get the layout of the tail board, that's going to help us create the pin board. Okay, so let's come over here. Now, currently right now, if I were to go into my size tool and look at the size of my bit here, you're going to see that it's 3/8 of an inch wide and it's 0.4 inches deep. Now, the board that I'm going to be making this out of, I'm going to be making a simple dovetail jewelry box or little box with dovetail joints and things. And the board itself is going to be 3 inches wide, okay? And it's going to be the side walls of a small box. So it's going to be about 3/8 of an inch thick material, okay? We're going to go 3/8 of an inch. And so I want a little bit of an overhang when those dovetails come together and stuff. I want a slight amount of overhang that I can, once the glue dries and all, I can sand flush and all that wonderful stuff. So we have the height set here to a 0.4. All right. And now we need to kind of figure out how many, tails or how many dovetails, we want across this board. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over and lay this out, kind of snap it to this corner here. And I'm going to basically take my Polyline tool. We're going to draw a line. Okay. And I'm going to draw a line straight across that's 3/8 of an inch, the same as the bottom line there. Okay. So 0.375. All right. And then we're going to space bar to finish. Whoa, look at that. Did you see that pop up? You think that Polyline tool did that? No, that didn't do that. That was because I was in the wrong layer when I was drawing. That layer turned back on me, and we want to be in the pin board layer. Make sure your layer's active. Don't make that same mistake I just did. Let's do that one more time. Let's go ahead and snap to the end of this, and let's go 0.375. Enter. Spacebar to finish. All right, so now basically I'm going to take these two guys right here, and I'm going to join them together. I'm going to come in and I should have 2 open vectors selected, my Dovetail Bit Profile and this line. I'm going to join them together so it's one vector. Now from here, I'm going to take this vector and I'm going to put it in transform mode. Now when you double click on a vector, it puts the item in transform mode, meaning that I can move, size, rotate, mirror copy, distort, align. I can do all these things in transform mode. And what I want to do is I want to just basically kind of draw my bit over and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, because this is going to be a snap point, I've got my smart snapping turned on. And if you've got 9 or 9.5 in your version of your software, you've got smart snapping. And these tools should be on. So I'm going to turn them on. We should have a blue box around them. And what that's going to allow me to do is when I grab this spot here, the end of this line, I can go ahead and hold down my control key. Your control key when you're in transform mode allows you to make copies. Okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to snap to that end of that line, and I'm going to hold my control key down, and I'm going to drag a copy, and I'm going to snap to the end of that line. Right? And then I'm going to drag a copy, and I'm going to snap to the end of that line. And I'm going to keep going. Keep going. Keep going. And I'm just holding the control key down. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and take all of these guys right now, and I snapped to the wrong line on this one. Let's take real quick and let me grab this one and snap it over there. All right, now I'm going to take all of these guys for right now, and I'm going to we got to start kind of figuring out our layout and everything. Well, right now these represent my tails, okay? And so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tails, and then I've got these little halves. Well, first of all, 5 tails is too many for this 3-inch board. I'm most likely going to be about 4. And what I don't want is I don't want a small little half tail or quarter tail, whatever it be over here. You know, I don't want that small bit of wood right there. It's going to be fragile. It's going to break off and things. So let's go ahead and let's clean this up. I'm going to go with 1, 2, 3, 4, which means I'm going to take this. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to take this here and I'm going to cut the vector here. Let's just delete that span right there. And I'm going to go ahead and delete these 2 guys, these remaining guys here. So let's select them and get rid of those. So now I'm going to take my pins, and on this line over here, I don't need this either. So I'm going to go into node editing mode, and let's go ahead and delete that span, and we'll actually just delete that all together. So I've got my 4 pins. And first thing I want to do is I want to take my 4 pins, and I'm going to move them up here. Now what the goal is to center these 4 pins on my board. Okay, so with those selected, first thing I'm going to do is they're not grouped together right now. They're individual vectors, all of my copies and stuff. I haven't grouped them together yet. So what I want to do is I'm going to select on them, and instead of grouping, we're going to join. We're going to connect them together. So the join tool is under edit objects, first icon, last row. And we've got 5 individual vectors selected right now. We're going to join it. We're going to have 1 open. Open means that the 2 ends are not connected in any way. So that's what we want. We want just 1. So that way when I select on it's there. And now with that joined, I can go ahead with that selected. I can hold down my shift key and I can select my board here. And I can use my alignment tool. Alignment tool is under transform objects, the last icon. And I can align to that selection, the last selection I made, which was my board, my little makeshift board that you see down here. And so I can align to that, and what I want to do is I want to center left to right. Okay, I want to get it centered. All right. Now I also want to align to the outside edge, right? Which means my bottom edge here is in line with this edge here. If I drew a polyline right now, and I snap a line from here to here, we'll delete that in a minute, you'll see that my pins are kind of sitting on top of the board. Well, now I got to move them down to the correct position. So I want to take these, and from their current position, I want to move them down 0.4, the height that I have them set at. Because again, 3/8 of an inch, 0.375 is how wide my boards are. And when they go together, when those dovetails go together, I want a slight amount of overhang that I can, once the joints are glued and dried up and everything, I can come back and sand and clean up. So we're going to move the move tool. See, you're learning all these tools now. The move tool, first icon on the transform objects menu. We're going to move a relative position. Relative means it's not an absolute coordinate. Absolute is absolute, an absolute coordinate on my board or my work area here, but it's relative from its current position. So I'm moving up and down. That's the y-axis. And I'm moving down, so it's a negative number. And I want to go negative 0.4. And I want to click apply. Okay. All right. All right. Now let's go ahead and delete that line. I only had that line there just to show you that when we did a line to that top surface, it was a line there. So now all I need to do is I need to, finish up my joinery. So let's take our Polyline tool. Let's take and snap. We're going to snap a line here and go straight across a 0 angle. Okay. Space bar to finish. Same thing on the other side. Take a line, go straight across, space bar to finish. And now I can do some cleanup. Make it look all nice and pretty. Okay. And this is going to be the layout for our tailboard. Now, of course, we would be doing this on both sides of the board, right? You got your tails and your pins and everything. We'd be doing this on both sides of the board. And we'd be more than 2 boards. We've got 4 boards, right? We're going to have 2 tail boards, 2 pin boards. We're going to put them together, and that's going to make our box, right? But I'm only going to be working on one side. You only need to know how to do this to create the toolpath. We only need to create one toolpath, and we're going to be in our, once that first set of tails is done, once the first set of pins is done, we're basically going to be rotating the board 180 degrees and doing the same toolpath on the other side, right? When those 2 boards are done, we're going to take them out. We're going to do the same thing on 2 more boards. You know what I mean? All right. So that's why we're going to work on 1/2. Now, all right. So we got our board layout. And this gives me a nice, I've got 3/8 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, 3/8, 3/8, 3/8, 3/8, 3/8, right? So a nice 4-pin board. Now, structurally, 3 or more pins is good for structurally. And this is all based on you, what you want. You could come in here and we could take and make this a 3-pin board. We could have if I took, and let's see here, let's go in and go into node edit. And let's see here, we'll keep that one. We'll go ahead and delete this span. Delete this span. Come in here and delete this span. If I came in here and deleted this pin right here, and I centered this pin, so once again selecting that, then selecting my box area here, alignment tool, align to selection, left and right center, right? Then I could go ahead and I could snap a line from here to here, space bar to finish, snap a line from here to here, space bar to finish. Now I've got a 3-pin layout, right? We got our 3/8 of an inch, and this one here, if I were to measure this, we would probably be, let me get a horizontal measurement going on there. 0.6941, right? So whatever, however you want to lay it out, you can make your pins wider, but I like a nice uniform look. So we're going to go with a 4-pin. Boom, and get back where we were. All right, so that's going to be our pin board. All right, welcome Robert, thanks for joining us. Tim, thank you for joining us. All right, so now let's recap this. We're going to go step by step. We drew out our bit, whatever our bit is. Okay, our dovetails are pretty much going to be based on that bit, So I've got a 3/8 inch by 8 degree dovetail bit, and I'm using that to help me lay out my tailboard. Once I have my tailboard laid out, now I can go ahead and create my pin board. And let's go ahead and delete these, right? We'll delete those because we're going to do the same thing. I'm just had these up here to show you so you kind of know where we're going. Now you're going to see how we get there. Okay, so I have these laid out already. So we're going to take this guy right here and I'm going to make a copy of him. Once again, control key while I'm in transform mode. When you double click and you're in transform mode, got your boxes here, control key, it's going to allow me to drag a copy down here. Now, some of you may or may not know, keyboard shortcut. The number 9 key is a 45-degree turn of your selected object in a counterclockwise direction. The number 0 key is a 45-degree turn in the clockwise direction. I want to turn this clockwise 90 degrees, so I could come in here and hit the number 9 key once. Not the 9 key, you goofball. I could go 0 key once, twice. There you go. Now this particular board overall is about, what's my overall length on that? About 8 inches, you know, so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a rectangle. And I'm going to take that rectangle and I'm going to snap to the corner of this board here. And we're getting ready to lay out our, tailboard. Pin board. We already did the tailboard, our pin board. Those tails and pins will confuse you sometimes. Now, this is going to be 3, 8, enter. And of course, I went backwards. Well, I got a radius corners there. And let's do that again. Let's go 8 and 3. 8 on the width, 3 on the height. Jeez Louise, Laney. All right, let's snap that bad boy right up here. All right, smart snapping. Gotta love it. All right, now we basically we want almost like a mirror copy of you know, our tailboard, which I have selected here and everything, but we don't, you know, because the tails have got to fit into the pins. So I can't just simply take these guys and you know, copy them over or mirror them over or any of that stuff. So we're gonna go a little bit of a long route on this. What I'm gonna do is on this rectangle here, I'm going to take this span, I'm going to go into node editing, second icon, first row of edit objects, and on this span right here, a span is a line between two nodes, line, arc, or curve between 2 points is a span. I'm going to take this span and I'm going to delete it. Okay, now what that's going to allow me to do is take my Polyline tool and I'm going to literally draw out my vectors. We're going to zigzag back and forth. So we're going to start here and we're going to snap to the corner. We're going to click, come to this corner, click, come over here to this corner, click, and we're literally going to draw these out. Okay, snapping to those corner points. Okie dokie, okie dokie. Draw them out. Snapping to those corner points. Smart snapping. Now notice when I get to a corner point, we get this little box with the crosshair. You know, that lets me know I'm snapping to a node corner point, and finally finish it up with that finish line and space bar to finish. Now of course I could come over and click the finish button as well. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to take these guys and let's back it up and let's see what we've drawn here. What did we just do? I'm just kidding, I screwed it up. Let's get in there. All right, we're going to take this and hold down our shift key and take that. And now we're going to back up. Ah, you thought I screwed up, didn't you? All right. Now, all right. So we've got our tails and this is going to be the layout of where our pins got to go. We're not done yet. That's just not that easy. We've got some things. We got some other things we got to do, but now we've got it. So that is this board here. Now I'm going to leave this board up here so I can use it for reference to talk to you about what we're doing and stuff. So I'm going to draw over here. I'm going to kind of bring it up here and draw it. So let's take this guy and let's go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to join him now no, I'm not going to join him. I'm going to leave him unjoined. I want 2 separate vectors still because it's going to help me in a moment. But with that selected, 0 key, right? 1, 2 times 90 degrees, get it up there. We're going to go ahead and let's just drag that on up here so we can kind of be side by side. All right, all right, All right. All right, now I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna put this on another layer, so I can turn that layer off. We don't need to see that yet. You don't need to see that. You'll see that in a minute. All right, now with my excuse me, with my pin board. Okay, you notice, look how we got these. Imagine if you were looking at this pin board. And these pins and everything. They've got an angle cut into them so that those dovetails can fit down in. I wish I had a separated dovetail joint with me, but I don't. But we need to see, what we're going to see is we're going to see this pocket area on the end of the board, but it's going to have an angle cut to it, the same 8-degree angle that our tails fit into and stuff, and that's what traps it. It pins it. That's why it's a pin board and everything. And so how I got this layout here, how we got this layout and everything is we're going to take this and we're going to basically take our Polyline tool and literally from the corners, on these corners here, I'm going to draw straight down, a line straight down, spacebar to finish. I'll do all the inside corners first. It doesn't matter how long they are. I'm just drawing a line, snap into these corners straight down. Okay, straight down, straight down. I'm using the space bar. Once I do my second click, a space bar to finish. Right, I'm snapping here, straight down, straight down. Okay, now these corners on the lower ones, we're going to snap and go straight up. Right, space bar to finish. Straight up. Doesn't matter how long they are because they're going to get trimmed here in a second. And all this is doing for us, is just giving us a view of our, of our tail-ends. Now what we want to do is, before I do this, let's get out of this tool. My dovetails here, I'm going to hold down my control key. I put it in transform mode with that double click. I'm going to hold down my control key and I'm going to grab and drag a copy up here because I'm about to trim some lines away. So with our trim tool, we're just going to come in and rock out these lines here. All that excess overhang down here as well. All that excess overhang. And then we're also going to come in and trim away these angle lines. Oops, not that one. Don't trim away that one. Let's zoom in a little tighter there. This one and that one. That one and that one. Let's move over so everybody can see. All right, we're going to trim away that, and that, and that. So that way we get that visual of looking from the top of this board down. We're seeing that angle cut, that angle cut and everything. Now, we need to create this. This is that end look, right? We got to create our two end pieces, right? That's because we're carving off the ends of these and everything, and this is what we're going to be building our tool paths off of and all. So let's go ahead and where do we want to start? Tails or pins? Which one do you start first? That's the biggest debate in the world, especially when you're hand doing them. Tails or pins? Where do you start? I'm going to start with the tail board. All right. Now with the tail board, what we're doing here to create this shape and these lines and everything, if you notice what's happening here, we're just creating that outline where these, endpoints right here, where they are coming to. Okay, so if I were to take and I'm going to move this, get rid of it. I'm going to move this to a new layer. All right, that way it's gone. I'm going to take a rectangle, and remember now, my board is 3 inches wide by 3/8 of an inch thick, 0.375. Okay, that's my board. Now, I want my board to be perfectly aligned here. And notice I'm not joined right there, right? Let's go ahead and join those together. Let's come in with my extend tool, right? Extend tool. Extend means I want to extend a line from here to here. right over on this side. I want to extend a line from here to here. Close that off. The extend tool is the second icon, third row of the edit objects menu. But what we're doing, we're not extending. I just needed to do that to close that off and everything. But what we're doing is we're creating our kind of top view, like if I was looking at the end of the board. I'm coming in here and looking at the end of the board. All right. So let's go ahead and make sure. I want everything to line up perfectly and all. So I'm going to take this, hold down my shift key. I'm going to select this vector here, down here, and align to the selection center. Make sure it's positioned perfectly. And it is. So now I can go ahead and take my Polyline tool, and I'm just going to come in and draw a line. Let's we'll delete that line. That line's not supposed to be there. We'll get rid of that in a second here. We'll clean that up. I didn't hit the space bar to finish. Straight up, all we're doing is showing where these pins are going to lay out on the end of our board. And that's going to help us create our tool paths. All right, let's do some trimming. Trim, chimney. All right, let's come in here and let's trim. Get rid of all these. The scissor tool, I'm just trimming all of this away, and then I'm going to come down here and trim these lines and everything. It's going to help me lay out the end of my tailboard. Now I've got my end view. Okay? You with me so far? Give me a hit. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, give me a thumbs up if you're with me so far. Hit that, smash that like button. All right. Is there a shortcut key to make your lines 90 degrees? Tippy Looter, is there a shortcut key to make your lines 90 degrees? So you're talking about, like, if I'm drawing a line, you see that A angle 0, right? 45, 90. So is there a keyboard shortcut that would allow me to make that line 90 degree? Well, there is. When I'm drawing a line, okay, I'm going to first put in a value, and then my degrees. So if I come in here and type in 45, not 455, but 45, hit enter. Ooh, hold on a second. Don't do that. Let's do that again. Let me get old Tippy started here. All right, I'm going to draw a line. I'm just going to have a line snapped, right? Just snap it, that first snap. Get it where I want. The first number we type in is the value, the length of that line. So I'm going to go 1 inch, comma, 45, enter. Okay. Ah, it did it backwards on me, the goofballs. It did it backwards. It did the degrees first. It's supposed to be the line first. All right, degree first. So 45, comma is the degrees. 1, enter. That's going to be my... Why is it doing it backwards? Why is it doing it backwards? Because I'm hitting the enter key. It's throwing me off here, guys. One more time. Tippy's gonna say Laney doesn't know what he's doing. All right, one more time. My first line, look down here at the bottom right of the screen, the very bottom right. So with this, my first number, right, I'm going to go 45. That's the value. It says value, right? Now, do I have A for angle? Right? I didn't hit the letter A. And then my next number, 1, right? I should be able to hit, oh, if I hit enter and it screws up again, I'm going to be mad. Enter. There we go. 1 inch. I was missing the letter A. So, Tippy, if I want to draw a 90-degree line, let's say from this point, Buddy Row, I'm going to go 90, the letter A, whatever length, and then hit enter. Okay? So 0 is left and right, 90, so on and so forth. So this would be 0 if I want to go straight across. So 0, A, 1, enter. Right? So if I went 90, 180, if I said 180, A, 1, enter. Where did that one go? I don't know where that one went to. Is it going to let me do 180? It better let me do 180. Let's see here. 0, A, 1, enter. That's that one. Now I want to come down. Oh, it's 90 again. It's 90. It's going to be a 90. So is that a negative 90? Negative 90, A, 1, enter. Awesome. Negative and positive. That's what we would think it would be, right? All right. So that's the only keyboard shortcut that I know of with drawing the lines. And, you know, don't forget your A's. And then, of course, 0 is left to right. You got negative 0, positive 0, 90, so on and so forth. Left and right, 45, on and on and on. So that would be the only keyboard shortcut that I would know of, Tippy, for your line drawing. And guys and girls, speaking of keyboard shortcuts, if you ever want to know about them, click on the help menu, come down to keyboard shortcuts in that help menu, pop that open, and when that pops open, there's an entire library of keyboard shortcuts. Okay? Keyboard shortcuts. And if we came in up here, right? And we, you know, our draw tools, Polyline Tool, if we click on that, we would see that we type in a value A, value length, right? Or we could even do value X, value Y, right? Well, you know, all kinds of things. So those keyboard shortcuts, buddy roll. All right, let's get back to it. All right. Now, Tippy says, what I was looking for is when you drew a line up, you looked at the circle for 90, was looking for a key to force the line straight. Unfortunately, there is no such key. So, like if I click here, that A, that's showing me 90 as I'm drawing up, right? But I could, you know, veer off it a little bit, right? But I do have my snap point, that dotted line. You see that dotted line shooting up, so I can draw on that. I don't know if my, you know, there's no real keyboard shortcut for that. You know, you just got to type in your angle and then however long you need it to be, type of deal. Okay? All right. All right. So, yeah, no, I'm not sure if there's any kind of keyboard shortcut for that one, Tippy, that locks it into place. All right, so we've got our lines here. So everything is done. Everything is ready to start laying out for our toolpath vectors for our tailboard. But we need to come over and we need to create the layout for our pin board. Let's come over here to my drawing over here. And once again, if I came in and I drew a board, let's see, 3 inches wide, 3, actually, 8 is going to be first. So 8, comma, 3, enter. Oh, and that's exactly right. But that's not the size box that I want. I want a 3/8. So I do want 3 first, and then 0.375. Enter. Duh. It's not. We weren't drawing the whole board. All right. So with that, I want to make sure that I'm nice and snapped in. Now there is one thing here. When I'm snapped on a point, I can whatever point that I'm snapped to, I can, when I wake that up, that gives me a dotted line here. That's what that smart geometry snapping is. So if I snap this corner point that I'm grabbed on here, if I snap it to there, that's going to wake up that vector so I can move it where I need to move it. Okay. All right. Now I want to take this vector here, and there's some lines that I don't need for this. We don't need all of these lines here. So I'm going to go into node editing mode, and I'm going to delete the lines I don't need. All I need is the diagonal. So we're going to delete the span. Now the D key is delete span. So I'm actually going to use that keyboard shortcut. I'll do the first one with the menu, but I'm going to come over and just hover my mouse over the line and hit D. Over the line, D, 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 D. Defense. All right. So that's all I need. I just need that layout there. Now I can take these vectors and I can align them. I want to group them together, so that's the group key right here. And now I can take and hold down my shift key and I can align them to this. And I want to align them, all right, I want to align them in a way that they're pretty much where the top of these are aligned with the top of this rectangle. So if I click on them first, hold down that shift key, then my alignment tool, aligning to selection, but this time I'm going to be on the inside edge. Okay, inside edge. Now I want to be centered, and then inside edge. I want my lines to stop here. They're going to overhang here because remember they're 0.4 inches tall, and my board is only 3.8. So what we have to do now is we have to trim all of these away. Now, there's two ways to do that, guys and girls. There's two ways to do that. If I ungroup these, I could very well take my scissor tool. And I could come in here and I could trim all the way down, right? Or when those lines, if I undo that, when those lines were grouped together, I could take and do the trim last object tool instead of the interactive trim. And the trim last object tool means that the last object I select is my boundary, which is my rectangle. That's my boundary. And I can clear everything outside of that boundary or inside of that boundary. So if I had my little inner vector selected and I hold down my shift key and I select on that rectangle, I can clear outside of that boundary and clear all that up, right? Just a single click of the key. I don't need to trim that away. All right. Okay. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to take and move it in transform mode. I'm going to snap to here and bring it right up here so everything is nice and pretty and perfect and all that stuff. And now I have the layout that I need to create the toolpath for the pin board. Right? All right, so I want to take, and let's take, and what do I want to get rid of? Let's get rid of these toolpaths. We're going to create some new ones. Let's get rid of these. Okay, and we're going to start from scratch. All right. So first thing I need to do is on my rectangle here, I'm going to come up and I'm going to hold down my control key and my alternate key. Okay, control and alternate. And what that's going to do is it's going to restrict no matter where I move my mouse to, you know, it's going to restrict it on that alignment line. Okay, if I move my mouse over here, it's going to go horizontally. If I hold my mouse over here, it's going to go vertically, right? But if my mouse is way over here, it's still going to, with my alternate key, it's going to be held there. So I just want to pull that up to right about there. Same thing here with this guy. I want to come in and I'm actually going to select all of this and hold down just my control and alternate key and pull up a copy of that. The alternate key just keeps it in line. All right. So now we've got our tail and pin boards. Now I want to stop here because we're literally done. We've got it laid out. Now we're ready to just lay out the toolpath. And let me watch this. I'm going to select this one last and I'm going to align up and down. Pow! Put that perfect. Make it pretty. All right. So before we go on to creating the toolpath, I want to make sure everybody understands up to this point what we've done and how we've done it. So I need in the chat, just if you understand, a yes, simple yes will be due. If you don't understand, a no. And if you think you got it, a maybe, just so I can see where we're at on the attendance, okay? Where are you guys at? So you understand how we got to this point, this layout. All right, let me know. Now I'm going to match, you know, I could have just, if I was smart, If I was a smart boy, I'd delete that and select all of this. Make a copy of that whole thing. Control, alternate, and move that up. There we go. All right. So right. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Love it to Peter. Peter was okay. One of my choices. Yes, no, and maybe. Peter get an okay in there. I'm just kidding. Peter, we love that you're different. And so right. Look at there. Jim threw in. So right. All right. Cool. All right. So we're on the same page right now, right? Very simple. We started out with a profile. It helped us lay out our pins. Now, we don't have to be uniform. I just like uniform tails and pins. I could do this. I could do wider. You know, I could do 3. I could do 4. I could do smaller. You know, can't really do smaller because my bit is 3/8 of an inch. So we need that 3/8 of an inch down, especially down here. We need at least 3/8 of an inch. It's going to be cutting and all. So we kind of need that. A little bit of space, but it can be wider. We can narrow them out and all, or we can use a wider board. But we got our layout. From there, we were able to create our copy. Bam, and we pulled it up here. I should have left a board down there. And then that allowed us to lay out our vectors. And that's how we ended up here. Yeah. Awesome. It's not too bad, right? So far, so good. Now it's all going to start making sense. Now, all right, so I could very well, on my tailboard, I could very well let my bit, let me grab my bit profile here, and let me make a control is for copy, right? Control. All right, I could very well let my bit plow right through, you know, and cut these pins and everything, or these tails, should I say, not pins, and everything. But the problem is when that bit comes out, there's not going to be any backer board here. There's not going to be any backer board when this is clamped on the jig. So we have the potential blowout, you know, blowing out our joint, blowing out our wood and everything, and making it a very unappealing looking, you know. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to blow it out. So we're going to create some drilling tool paths and some clearing tool paths and everything that we're going to use a 1/4 inch end mill for, to kind of clear out some of the waste material and stuff. And that way we can come back and use our dovetail bit and only remove that final cut, that final nice cut, you know, and minimize our tear out and stuff. All right, maybe David, stick with it, buddy. It'll click in just a moment. All right, got one maybe. David, you stick with it. Don't you give up on me. Fight through it. All right, we'll get you there. Now, so what we want to do is imagine, and let me draw a 1/4 inch end mill here, and 0.25D for diameter gives my 1/4 inch end mill. All right, if I take my 1/4 inch end mill and I come and snap it to this, right? So my 1/4 inch end mill is going to come and it's going to drill in the back side. It's also going to drill on the front side, and it's going to remove that material down to 0.4 inches deep. Okay, it's going to drill. Now, not only is it going to drill there, but it's also going to drill on this corner and on this corner. Now it's going to remove, it's first thing it's going to do, it's going to come down. Now imagine if you can, let's switch over real quick so you can see me. And I think my camera is still kind of blurry, but you'll be able to see me enough. All right, now there's some finger joints here, and old Jerry Williams should recognize this board, it's one of his. But now, on my board, if I just took my dovetail bit, let me get out of the way of the camera here, the spindle TV thing. If I took my dovetail bit and just plowed right through, you know, I could do that. But as it's coming through, it's going to blow out. It's going to blow out. There's no backer board here, you know, preventing that blowout. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our 1/4 inch end mill and we're going to have it remove waste area. Waste area. It's going to drill and remove that waste area. And then The only thing that's going to be left is a small amount of material for my dovetail bit to clean up, make that cut nice and pretty, make our tolerances nice and pretty and everything. And so imagine if you're looking at the end of the board, what you're seeing on this, what you're going to see on the screen is we are looking at the top down. It's like me looking at the end of the board. You know, we're looking down at this area right now. And those circles are drawn on the corners. You know, that's what we got going on here. We're looking at the end. So let's get back over there. All right. And, you know, so we're going to have this, you know, this drilling operation come in, and we're going to clean this up. I'm going to fix this up a little bit better for us, but we're going to have this drilling operation come in, and it's going to drill, 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 and it's going to go through and do this a couple of times and everything. But then there's still going to be some meat in here, right? There's still some wood. All this wood right here is not being removed. What this is doing is this is drilling the edges to give us a nice clean edge. Now, on some of your softwoods and everything, pines, cedars, you know, poplar and all, you may get, you know, even from the drilling operation, you may get a little bit of blowout, a little bit of a fuzzing, you know, and everything and all. But this is going to absolutely prevent a lot of tear out that would happen if you were just plowing that dovetail bit through and stuff. So we're going to have some drilling operations. Then we're going to, now once we drill out all of this excess waste here, now we're going to have to kind of clean up all of this area. And we're going to do that with just a simple profile toolpath that's going to come take that 1/4 inch bit and kind of clean this area out and stuff. So let's start from scratch, not scratch, but let's get rid of these 4 circles here, not my line, but these 4 circles, and let's start. All right, so we're going to start with our drilling operation first. So those bit, that 1/4 inch bit, let's draw that bit again. 0.25 D for diameter. I'm hand drawing it by typing it in. We could also come over here and just type in 0.25 diameter, hit apply, or left click, or what have you. But basically that bit is going to be coming, and it's going to be, you know, drilling, removing all of this material in 4 places on the front and the back of the board. And all that's going to leave is this little bit of area here that our dovetail bit, when it comes, it's going to come and clean that right up. So let's go ahead, and we've got, so if we look, and I'm going to, you know, let's draw some lines so you know where we're at and everything. Okay, we're going to kind of draw some reference lines and stuff. So I'm basically going to draw this line straight up all the way through so you can kind of see where it's coming from, okay? So we're going to draw this line straight up all the way through so you can see where they're coming from. So basically I want you to know that these lines that you see on this board here, they're referencing, or they're representing the top edges of those tails. That's important, so you kind of know, it'll start to like, oh, I get it now, I get it. All right, so we're going to draw it in there. We'll get rid of these lines in a moment, but I'm just going to draw them in there for reference so you know where they're coming from and what areas we're removing. Okay? Doesn't matter how long they are. These are reference lines. All right, now my bit, my 1/4 inch bit, has got to clean out all of the voids in between, you know, all of the voids. And I wish I could, you know, represent this a better way, but let's get her done. Let's do it. So what I need is the edge of my bit, right, is going to be cutting down the edge of that dovetail there, which is represented by this corner here. So I'm going to take and grab the right edge. I'm going to snap right to that right edge node, and I'm going to snap it right here to this corner, inside corner right there. Okay? And I'm going to take with that, I'm going to come in with that still selected, even if I let go, I'm still going to come back and snap to that. And I want to hold down my control key, and I'm going to pull down a copy of that, and I'm going to snap that to this edge. Okay? It's going to represent the 2 areas where that bit's going to come down, drill straight down 3/4 of an inch on the end of that board. Now we need it to clean up this outside edge as well. So we're going to come in, and I'm just going to let the center of the bit do that because there'll be enough overlap here. So I'm going to just grab it by the center, hold down my control key, and I'm going to snap my center here, because there's enough overlap. It's going to get rid of, it's going to clean up this edge, because my profile cuts that we're going to do next, those are going to clean up the rest of the waste. Then my dovetail bit is going to do the final cut, making it nice and pretty. So with that, hold down the control key one more time, and boom. All right, so that's going to be our 4 drilling holes in this position. Now, we're going to need that on this other side as well, right? On the other side as well. And I can, instead of snapping and drawing and all that, I can mirror them. I can mirror them. In order to mirror them perfectly to the other side, I need, on my box here, I need to come in and on my center point, I'm going to draw a line. And as I move my mouse across the line, you'll see the center snap up here. And I'm going to draw a line right here, that center line. And I'm going to use that to help me mirror these items. Okay, I don't want that line, just the circles. All right, with them selected, hold down my shift key, select this line, go into the alignment tool, not the alignment tool, you goofball, the mirror tool. And I want to create a mirror copy, and I want to flip it about that line. Okay, let's back up so you can see this happen. Flip about the line. Bam! Right? Bob's your uncle. Right? Or Dave Gatton, one of the two. Now, all right. So, we don't need that line anymore. Delete. Now, I think you're getting it. Now, I also need to come in and I need to kind of clear out these areas and stuff. Right? So, we're going to have, and if I were to turn on, just so you can kind of represent, you know, we're going to have those drill holes all through here as well. All we're doing on the drilling is we're cleaning up the edges, removing the material on the edges. Then we're going to do some profile and pocket cuts to clean up the rest. So I'm going to take just grab one of these guys here, and I'm going to make a copy of it. Hold down that control key, and I'm going to snap to the center here. And notice that it's not getting all the way to there, because I'm gonna have 2 operations here. I want to snap that right side to there, and then the left side, I'm gonna hold down my control key and drag a copy over and just pull that over. The control is a copy, right? We're just gonna have that come down and clean up both sides. Bam, bam. All right. Now, I'm gonna take and hold down my control key. I'm gonna grab this edge. Hold down my control key, and I'm going to snap here. Grab this edge over here. This edge over here. Hold down my control key and just snap it over there. Boom. Right? So this is one drill toolpath, second one, not toolpath, but you know, we're going to do all the drilling, but these are different vectors that drill, the center of that bit's going to come down. This is representing where the bit's going to cut. All right, now we need to repeat that 2 more times for these 2 voids right here, right? We've already done the ends. We've done this void here, and now we've got these 2. So, excuse me. I'm just going to select these guys, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down, go in, double click on them, transform mode, right? I'm going to grab this corner, I'm going to hold down my control key, and I'm going to come and just drag it over and snap to here. Bam, Bob's your uncle. All right, there we go. One more time, grab that corner. I'll zoom in so you can see. Grab that corner, hold down that control key, and we're going to snap over to here. Bam. All right. Now, I think you get kind of where that's going to be, so we can get rid of these lines. We don't need them here anymore. I don't want them confusing the situation. So we're going to get rid of these lines. They can kind of see where we're at. Okay. So now on the end of my board, I've got this drilling toolpath that's going to come in and drill, 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 all the way around. And you're going to see that when we actually create the toolpath. But now I need to clean up. There's a lot of area right here. There's a lot of wood still right here that's got to be gone. So we're going to have a profile toolpath. We're just going to have that 1/4 inch bit just run that profile toolpath. Now I'm going to utilize this line to help me kind of create my toolpath. And on this line, I'm using a 1/4 inch bit, right? And I need the right edge of the bit to run across this line. So what's the center of that bit? The diameter or the radius? It's a 1/2 inch or 1/8 of an inch. That would be the diameter times 2. The radius is 1/8 of an inch. So I can use this line and I can use my move tool, and relative to its position, X, left and right, I can just relatively move that to negative 0.125 inches and click apply, right? But that doesn't help me. It gets rid of my other line. So what I need to do first, before I do that, is I need to copy and paste. So Control C, Control V, makes a copy and paste. Now that guy I can move negative 0.125. Bam. That's going to represent where the center of my bit's going to be cutting. Now we're going to make these lines longer because I don't want the center of my bit starting here and ending here. I want it to start. I want it to plunge down to 0.4 and just make a single pass 0.4 inches deep. Clearing that out. Okay? All right. Now, so we'll make that line longer in a minute, but now we got to do it again. So this line, Control C is copy, Control V is paste. Now, you don't have to Control C, Control V. You could right click and copy, right click, paste, and then you could take that, the pasted is always going to be selected, right? So we could come over here and say negative 0.125, apply. It's going to get me here, okay? And the same thing, I could copy and paste, or the shortcut is Control C, Control V, but I'll do it the long way. Right click, paste, and then again, negative 0.125, apply. And this is going to be my 3 tool pass to clean up this edge. Now I want to take these 3 lines, and I want to extend them to 1 inch, okay? So I could do that with my size tool, right? I could, you know, right now their height is 3/8. I could come in here and I could, you know, change their height to 1 inch. Right? Right. Now again, I don't need to sit there and redraw these over here. I can mirror them, but I do need, if I'm going to mirror them, then I need that center line, right? And I should have left that center line in, knowing that I was going to do this again. And so I got to find my center point, and I can use this point right here. And just draw a small line there, right? It doesn't have to be anything big, just something to reference off of. And I'm going to take these 3 guys right here, hold down my shift key, grab this line last, and I'm going to mirror, creating a mirror copy and flipping about the line. Bam! Right? Right. Okay, so now we have our drilling tool pass going to clean up this waste, then our profile, our bit's going to come zoom, 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 and clean that up. It's going to do the same thing over here, but what about in the middle? Well, all I need to do is draw a rectangle for my pocket tool path, okay? So my rectangles, I'm just going to do a pocket tool path. So on my rectangle here, I'm just going to come in, and I want this rectangle to be 1 inch in height. And the reason why I want it to be 1 inch is when my quarter inch, you know, drill comes in and it's going to be clearing in here, it's going to be inside of this vector. Okay? When it comes down into this pocket to clear out, it's going to come inside to kind of clean up this area right here. And I want it to start off the board. So that 1 inch is giving me plenty of room. So now I can come in and I can take this and I can come in and snap this, you know, I'll find that center there and snap it there. And I didn't hold my control key down. Hold your control key when you want to do stuff like that. All right, control, and I can snap over to here. I'm finding the center of that circle area there, and bam. Okay, oh, I'm off on that one. Didn't snap properly, so let's do that again. Don't hold the control key down this time. All right, when it doesn't want to snap, just move it in line. All right, see how it didn't snap them off? That would overcut my cut, and that would just piss me off to no end, right? So what we want to do is we want to keep our alignment, you know, the same and everything, but we want to just grab this and snap over to there on that line. It didn't want to snap on that one. Let me check on this one. Let's look. That one's good. Let me check on this one. That one, oh, that one's off a bit. That would just, oh, that would upset me if I'd have messed that one up. All right, let's come over here and just zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. There we go. All right. Now we're good. All right, so all the toolpaths are done for this. So before we go into the tail view, let's do one at a time. All right, so you can see what in the world is going on. What are all these lines, squares, and circles, Laney? All right, so I'm gonna take these guys and I'm gonna hold down my shift key. I don't need the rectangle. All right, I'm just gonna take all of those vectors and I'm gonna hold down my control key, double click on it and put it in transform mode. Hold down my control key and I'm gonna come and snap to the center of my board. All right. And let's create these toolpaths. So we'll do tails first. All right, tails first. I do tails first anyway because if I need to fine tune my cut on the pin board, I can do that. Always cut the tails first. That's kind of my theory, and you'll see that in a moment. All right, so here we go. Let's start with our drilling operation, drilling toolpath, and I'm gonna select 1. Hold down the shift key when you're selecting more than one vector. 2. Let's go right down the front edge first. Select all these. Hold down that shift key. And we're going to come right around the corner. Okay. The cut depth on this is going to be 0.4. 0.4. Remember again, when these fingers come together, I want that little bit of an overlap, right? And everything is based on 0.4. I'm going to be using my 1/4 inch end mill, and I can either let it just bury down, you know, to remove that material, or I can use pecking. I like to use pecking. Just me, I do. I like to use pecking, but some people might just, you know, hey, we're only, just let it go down and rip that out, you know. Whatever, but I like to use pecking. So I'm going to use pecking, and I don't need it to dwell at the bottom of the cutter. All right, my board is not set up correctly. So we need to come in here, and my board height is 3/8 of an inch, not 3/4, it's 3/8. I'm using a 3/8 inch by 3 inch long board. I have to recenter everything. And I'm using a 2-inch thickness, that way we can turn it sideways and you can see this carve and everything, because remember we're looking at the end of the board, but it's 3 inches in width basically, and it's 3/8 inches thick, you know, is the material thickness. And then this down here is going to just represent the board, the length of the board. It could go 12 inches, 8 inches, what have you. Now we're going to be touching off on the material surface on the end of the board. When this is set up vertically, it's going to be clamped vertically on the table, and we're going to work off, you're going to start from the bottom left corner. All right, click OK. Now, let's take and center those vectors up properly. F9 to center. All right, once again, because I wasn't paying attention visually, hold that shift key. We got to reselect these vectors again. All right, I want it to come around the corner. Bam, 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 bam. Oh, come on now. And 2 more. All right, 0.4, 1/4 inch end mill. I'm going to use some pecking. Calculate. So now, if I turn this board sideways, imagine now you might be able to see some visually, like we're looking at the end of the board, okay? So when I preview this toolpath, I'm going to preview it slow, a little bit slow, not too fast, but it's going to come and not that slow. Let's speed it up a little bit more. A little bit faster. A little bit faster now. All right, we're going all the way because that's super slow. Unless I got some lag. There we go. All right. There we go. All right. So let's restart that and let's do it at full speed. So it's going to come and drill those holes, cleaning up those areas and all. That way we don't get any tear out on our edges where our V-bits or our dovetail bits coming. Got that nice tear out cleaned up, you know, with that drilling operation. Now we've got a profile cut. Now here's the thing. On the profile cut, on the left side of my board, I want the bit coming up from the bottom. I want it coming up and cutting up and everything on these. So I want it starting at the bottom of the lines. And on the right side of the board, I want it starting on the top side of the lines. The reason why I want to start on the bottom side of the line so I don't get tear out, so I'm not, you know, so I'm not doing my bits rotating and everything. I want to be able to do a conventional cut into here. And I believe I said that right. Conventional with the rotation of the bit. So let's make sure that our start points are correct. I should have start points at the bottom of these lines on this side, at the top of these lines on this side. So let's look at that. If I select these three guys here and I go into node editing, well, it's only going to let me select one at a time, but my start point is correct. It's down there at the bottom. Bottom, bottom. Green means start. If I come over here and I click on this one, that's wrong. So I need to come over here and right click and make that the start point. Click on this one. Make that the start point. Click on this one. Make that the start point. Okay. So now vector selection order is important. I want to come in and I want to drill these three or cut these three, and then I want to come over and cut these three. Again, this is going to be a profile. We're following a single line. Anytime you're following a single line, it's a profile cut. I want the center of that bit cutting on that line. We spaced that line over 1/8 of an inch, representing the center of the router bit. So I want the center of the bit cutting on the line. And again, to 0.4 inches deep. 1/4 inch end mill. All right. Now I want this to do this. I really kind of want to save some time and do this in one pass because I want it to plunge all the way down to the full depth and then just come in and cut. Raise up, come down to the full depth, cut, and everything. And we're not going to be removing a whole lot of material, so that should be fine. So I want to edit my passes, and I want to come and I want to make this one pass. Okay. So let's calculate. This is going to be my tail board waste cleanup. We'll just call it that. 0.25 end mill. And we're going to click calculate. All right. So now when it's calculating, my bit is going to come and it's going to come here. It's going to come over and cut, raise up, move over to the next one, come down, cut, raise up, move over to the next one, come down, cut, raise up. It's going to come over here and it's going to start that process the same way. So let's go ahead and preview that. Let's see if I can slow this one down. This one might, I'll slow it down a little bit. Okay, it's going to come down. Maybe I don't need to slow it down with my settings. Let it catch up to itself. right, so it's going to come and it's going to clean up that little bit. It's only taking 1/8 of an inch bite, right? Boy, that's slow. I'm not going to mess with that speed no more while I'm filming. We might get some buffering on that one. I don't know why it's so slow. All right, let's do that again. Preview, select the toolpath. So it's going to come in and clean up. Man, here, let me stop that. The reason why it's so slow is I've got my settings set to maximum on my view, I believe. So we'll speed that up. Let that finish cutting. Bum, 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 bum. This little stop button down here will stop it in a moment. It's got to go kind of through. It's got to finish generating, and then it'll stop. Oh, get rid of that. Come on now. All right, let's turn that setting down. We'll go just a simple high standard. All right, let's preview that cut. Lord have mercy. Let's do our drilling. Right there we go. That's what I'm talking about. And then our profile cut is going to come and it's going to clean up that pass. It's going to raise up, clean up that pass. It's going to raise up, clean up that pass. It's going to come over all the way to the other side. It's going to raise up and it's going to do the same thing. It's going to do the outside first, a nice clean cut, second, and then that third final pass. Okay? So we're good there so far. Now I've got my pocket cuts. Okay? So I've got my pocket cuts. 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be a pocket cut. Again, cutting to 0.4 inches and 1/4 inch end mill. And I want this to, let's see, there's only a little bit of removal. Yep, I want this to be full depth as well. So set that to 1 pass. Click OK. And this is going to just be my final one, tailboard pocket clearing, 0.25 end mill. Calculate. All right, that's going to come in and preview that toolpath. It's going to come in and clean that out. Going to come in and clean that out. Clean that one. All right. Now, my final toolpath is going to be the Dovetail Toolpath. Okay? The actual dovetail bit. So that dovetail bit is going to be coming in. Let's get that bit. Let me grab that profile. Okay? There's 2 things we've got to do. Is got that dovetail bit, and that dovetail bit is going to come over, and that right edge, you know, is going to be, because this is wider than 3/8 of an inch over here. All right, this is wider than 3/8 of an inch over here, but you know that dovetail bit is going to come in and it's going to do that undercut and it's going to clear this out. You know, it's going to do 2 clearings here. Well, 1 actually, just 1. Sorry, just 1. So I need a toolpath for the dovetail bit here, 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 and here. So let's draw a line. And what I'm going to do is I'll use this as reference so you guys can, you know, see where we're at and stuff. And I got to represent a line for my dovetail bit, right? For this edge of my bit to come up and clean up this line. All right. And this line basically. But on that, we're going to, I think I'm going to need, let's do the middle one first. I'm going to take and draw a line right up the middle. And now, on my dovetail bit, it's 3/8 inch diameter. So let me draw a 3/8 inch, 0.375 D for diameter. All right, now it's going to have a full swing on it, right? So I don't want it starting on my board and all, so I need it to start out here. So my line doesn't need to be this long. You know, if I brought it down to, you know, right about there, that's going to give me enough for my bit to start off the board. It's going to then come in, and it's going to come down and finish off the board. Right, this is my 3/8 inch board right here, so I just wanted to clear that before it raises up and all. So this length line, I actually could probably go the same length as the square, but I like to just kind of, you know, have it a little bit bigger. This line here, same thing. We'll make that a little bit bigger. And the only reason I'm doing that is to be able to be distinctive as to where the what line goes to what bit type of thing when I'm creating the vectors. So that takes care of my 3, but now I've got my insides here and everything. And if we look on this long line here, you know, it's representative of, you know, all we're doing is we're just cleaning up that edge, and that's going to confuse you. Let me turn that off. That was a bad idea. So I need my line. I'll just use my control key. I'll grab this line over here. I'm going to hold down my control key, and I'm going to snap this line to this line here. Okay. Now this line is representing the center of my dovetail bit. My dovetail bit is 3/8 of an inch, so I need to move it over 3/16. So we're going to take and we're going to move that over. It's snapped on the edge. This little line here that it's snapped to is the edge. That's this part right here of my dovetail. And also I got to move over 3/16 of an inch. So move, not copy, move, because that already is a copy. So move relative X negative 0.1875, which is 3/16. Okay. Same thing here. If I took this guy, hold down the control key and snap a copy to this line here, I want to move this one positive 0.1875. Apply. Now, these two vectors, or 3 vectors, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, we're going to make a copy and drag them over here. Now, Laney, how do I make sure they're in the right place when I drag them over here? Well, while they're selected, if I hit the F9 key on my keyboard, it will center that up to my material. F9 on the keyboard. Or I could use my alignment tool. I could have just used my alignment tool and centered it up with the line to material. All right, with those selected, we're going to go ahead and the start point, you know, I want them to all start in the same direction, which means that the dovetail is going to go and cut through, and it's, well, let's see, I could start here, 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 and here. I need to be on the outside here. Bam, 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 bam. No, I'm going to start they're all going to go one direction. All right, so I'm just going to have it run through one direction. On this far left side, I will take and I'll start down there. So let's go into node editing, and my start point's good there. I want it to raise up, and I want it to come and start there. That's good. I want it to raise up, start there, and then start there, and then on this last one it can start up here because it'll climb cut there. That'll be good for that. So now those vectors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is going to be a profile toolpath. This time we're going to be doing, again, 0.4. This time we're using a 3/8 inch diameter bit. Now, we can't draw a dovetail bit in because, you know, there's really no sense in it. We need to just set up a dummy bit because the software won't show us the undercut anyway. It won't show us the undercut anyway. So I'm going to just come in here and I'm going to create a new end mill with a diameter of 0.375. The pass depth, I'm going to set it at, I want the full length of it, and 0.375. I'll change it over here when I calculate. Step over of 40% is good. If I was running a spindle, I'm going to be running this around 22,000 RPMs. Feed rate, I mean, I could be on this one pretty good. I could go 60 or 70. We'll go 60 and a plunge of 20. And this will be my dovetail bit. Dovetail bit, click apply. Bittle. Dovetail bit. Click apply. All right, so with my dovetail bit, that's what I'm going to choose. Now, again, on the line, I want to be on the line. So, and I want to use the vector selection order, right? Use the vector selection order. So that's order right here on the profile toolpath. I'm going to uncheck these guys here and I'm going to click the vector. All right, we lost, you guys lost me for a minute. Or lost you or lost each other. So where, somebody pop in and tell me where did we lose each other? Tell me where we lost each other. At what point had I created these lines yet? Did I create those lines? Was I in the process of creating the toolpath when we got lost? Where did we lose each other? Nothing got skipped, right? All I did was bring these lines over, create the profile toolpath, set up the bit. Did you guys see the, guys and girls see the dovetail bit setup? Let me know. At the toolpath. Okay, let's go back into that real quick. Cut depth was 0.4. Dovetail bit 3/8 of an inch diameter end mill that we just created. Okay, and it was an end mill. So if we look at it, it was 0.375 diameter. Pass depth I went 0.375. I'm going to change that to a single pass here. 22,000 RPMs running at 60 and a plunge of 20. Okay, so on my passes, taking the full 0.4. All right, and so one pass at 0.4 inches and all that stuff, and then we calculated that toolpath. Okay, so that's probably about where we lost each other. Now, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see an undercut. All you're going to see is this joint get wider, right? But you're going to trust and know that that's the V-bit or the dovetail bit cutting the dovetail. You're not going to see it, but let's go ahead and preview this cut. And so it's going to come over and it's going to cut that 3/8 of an inch wider. I need to speed that up a bit. Okay. All right. So let's reset this back to a blank board. We got our drilling operation. Bam. We've got our waste cleanup, which is the profile with the 1/4" end mill. It's coming in and cleaning that up. Coming in and cleaning up that waste on the edges. The pocket cuts is going to be the 1/4" end mill cleaning up the middle areas. Okay. And then our final dovetail cut is going to be the dovetail. All right, now these end cuts didn't seem to cut. Hold on a minute. Hold on there a minute, George. Okay. They're in the wrong place. The wrong place. So what I'm doing is I'm using my actual bit to get the proper positioning. I had them in the wrong place. So that was on me. So we got to take these two here. Once again, number 1 and number 2. Okay. So let's do this in the proper order. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I had them over too far. They were in the wrong position. Reset and preview all the tool paths. Drill operation. Profile cut, cutting off the 2 ends. It's going to do 3 passes on this end. It's going to come over and it's going to do 3 passes on the other end. Pocket cut, going to cut the middle. 1, 2, 3. Dovetail bit, going to come and clean up that edge there. Yep. Then the center. Then that. Now, of course, you're seeing a straight bit cut. You're not seeing a profile cut of that dovetail and everything. But it's because we can't see an undercut. So just know. Just know. Yeah. The should have the 2 outsides. Yes, they're going to be based on the top of the bit. Not the bottom of the bit, the top of the bit there, but row because these cuts and everything, these lines right here, this line is representing this cut here. And I started off of that line when I came in here. So that would be the, top of my bit and everything. And so when I brought my bit profile, this guy, where'd he go? Where'd my bit profile go? Let me grab my bit profile again. Now we still got to do the tail board, so I don't want to get this confusing. All right. So when that bit is coming and cutting, when that bit's coming and cutting, the top is represented by this line, right? Which is the reference line and stuff. So if I take that line and I snap to this line here, then my dovetail bit, the center of my bit is here. With me? With me. All right, take the same thing and move this over to here. Snap that to that line, and my dovetail toolpath should be based on the center of the bit there. Okay. All right. You with me? Did I lose you? Or did I get you back with that little explanation right there? So these are this is gonna be our tail boards. Okay. Now let's go ahead and might as well move them to a nice new layer called tail board vectors. We'll make them red just for kicks and giggles, and we're going to turn them off right now. We don't need them on there anymore. Now, all right, now we need to create the vectors for the pin board. Now the pin board, there is no dovetail bit cutting this. This is all going to be in mill work. There, you know, the dovetail bit, it only cuts the tails. All right, and so again, we're going to use our 1/4 inch end mill. So I'm going to draw out a 1/4 inch diameter end mill, 0.25. Let's drop that on here. And on this one now, these pockets and all, that bit has got to come in, and the edge of that bit has got to come in on this line, and it's got to ride this line all the way up and clean out, you know, this area in here. So we're going to have that 1/4 inch bit is going to be there. Again, control key, going to drag this 1/4 inch right there. All right, control key, drag this up here. Control key, drag that there. Okay, that's going to be my edge cuts. All right, now I'm going to take and just select all of these, and I'm going to grab this corner here and I'm going to snap it right there. Oh shoot, hold your control key there, kiddo. Hold your control key when you're doing something like that. All right, and then snap that there. Snap that there. All right, this is going to be the drilling tool path for the pin board. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. We only have to have one more tool path for this. Now that bit, after it gets rid of these edges and cleans up those nice edges and everything, now it's going to come in and pocket this area out. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our profile for this, and we're going to use a new tool called the tangent tool to help us do that. All right, so you can see what's going to happen here. We'll focus on one at a time and everything. And so what I need to do is I'm going to take my Polyline tool, and first of all, let's create a new layer. Okay, we're going to separate these two because I don't want you getting confused, because we're going to be trimming some stuff away for this last profile. I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call this my pin board pocket vectors. Okay, pin board pocket vectors. And I'm going to make that layer active. That way I can take these selected vectors, these guys right here, and I'm going to copy them to that pin board pocket vector layer. That way I can turn off everything else but that layer. Okay, I don't need the tail boards on, I don't need the dimensions on, I don't need the pin boards on. All I need is this on. Okay, I want you just seeing this. I don't want anything else confusing you. So just seeing this. Now, we're going to use the tangent tool to create our pockets. Okay, now if I come in and I add one more set of vectors to this, I don't actually have to really, I could just use my other vectors. Bear with me. Let me turn on one more layer real quick. And I'm going to take these lines right here. make a copy of them also. Copy to pinboard vector layer. That way I can, let's turn off everything now. We don't need to see anything but this on. All right, so now we're going to do some trimming, but we gotta create a tangent. So line tool, polyline tool. When I click on one circle, a new tangent is this 9 and 9.5. No matter when I click on my polyline tool and stuff, you know, even though I'm not on my tangent for this line, when I hover over my other circle here, don't click, hover, and hit the letter T on my keyboard, it's going to move it to the perfect tangent of those two circles. We're going to do the same thing up here. Click on one, hover on the other, hit the letter T, perfect tangent, spacebar to finish. Okay, that's going to create that line. Now I can come in, and we're going to focus on one so you see what's going on. Now I can come in and do some trimming. Trim, 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 and zoom in. Okay, and that's going to create, oh, one more up here. Oh. Dadgummit. Oh. Trim tool. Trim. That's one. Oh, come on now. All right, I'm closing that. And on this one here, it's got a little bit of a cleanup that I need to do, and I'm going to just right click and delete that span. Okay? Very simple. Right click and delete the span. Whenever, if something's, you know, clicking and it's not, it's wanting to delete other things, just go in and edit it, node edit it. All right, so now what that does is that's going to create my profile for my pocket cut, you know, to clean out in those areas and things. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to do all of them. So line, snap, hover, the letter T, spacebar to finish, snap, hover, the letter T, spacebar to finish. Oh, snap to the right circle. T, there we go, spacebar to finish. All right, let's do this one. While we got the tangent tool open, let's go do them all. T, spacebar to finish. Zoom in up here. Snap, hover, hit the letter T while you're hovering, spacebar to finish. T, spacebar to finish. Down here, T, spacebar to finish. All right, now we can come in and clean up and do some trimming. So trim. Actually, let me see if this works. Is that going to let me do it? Nope. I thought the weld tool was going to let me do it, but it wasn't going to let me do it. That's all right. No big deal. We can come in here and trim. Oh, not that one. Okay, up here. Is this one going to give me a hard time again? Let's find out. Yep, that one's going to give me a hard time again. I don't know why that one's such a pain in the butt, but that's okay. We're going to zoom in, and we're going to select this, delete. We're going to come in here. We're going to select this. This is the one that I want to, you know, get rid of. This guy here and here is kind of crossing over, right? and all, which makes me think that I didn't snap to the proper tangent area of that one, but that's all right. We can go into node editing, and on this one we're going to where's the end of my line? Bear with me a second. This one goes to here, and then this one goes to here. So I'm going to delete that span. Alright, no I'm not. I'm going to undo that all together. I'm going to get to the right tangent. Bear with me a second. Here's that tangent line that snapped. It didn't snap properly. That's what was throwing me off. Polyline Tool. We're going to click over here. Hover over here. T for tangent. And that should give me a nice straight line right there. Space bar to finish. That's perfect. That's better. Trim that away. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, you're still going to give me a hard time on that one. This one's gonna do me in, but that's all right. This one I can very simply come in here and click on, insert a point, and delete span. Oh, not that big old span. That's the wrong span, guys. Delete span. There we go. All right, took a little bit of Confucius cleaning up. Okay, so 2 more to do. Trim, 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 trim. We already know that this one's going to be a problem up here, so I'm just going to come down here and finish these up. And this is the last profile we have to make. I'm going to come up here and clean this up. All right, much better. That was less painful. All right, last one, last one. Trim, 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 trim. All right, and then we are done with dovetails for today as soon as we make this last cut. All right, what do I got going on up here? All right, node editing. Okay. Let me see what that is. Ah, the big old overlap. Okay. I had a big old overlap. That's what it is. All right, let's turn on some other layers to put these back into perspective here. Okay. So we've got our pocket tool paths and everything to clean up those areas there. Let's go ahead and create those tool paths. Let's get those moved over. Let's turn off our tail boards here. Let's grab this guy, these vectors here. Hold down our, I don't need the rectangle. Hold down our control key. Drag a copy of this over. And F9 to center. All right, so we should have our circle vectors for our drilling operation. Then we should have our profile toolpath for our pockets. So let's go with our drilling operation first. Tailboard drilling operation. Again, this is going to be 0.4 depth. 1/4 inch end mill drilling, and this is going to be my pin board. And this is it. Pin board, waste drilling 0.25 EM end mill. All right, we're going to do that on 1, 2, all right, vector selection order and calculate. Okay, if I reset this preview, all right, this is going to be the pin board. If we preview that selected toolpath, should come in there and it should drill away those overlaps. Now we've got our pocket cuts. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be a pocket toolpath. 0.4. Now, here's the thing, guys and girls. We always do, the reason why I do the tail pins, the tail boards first, is if I go to put my joint together and it's tight, right? I'm gonna let that tail board cut to whatever it is, you know, what I've just created for the toolpath and everything. So that's gonna be my master. Now my pin board, I can use offsets allowances to make those pins a little wider if I need to. Those pin, you know, voids a little wider if I'm too tight. So if I'm in there and it's too tight, then I can test that fit while it's still clamped in the board and everything. I can test that fit and everything. And if it's too tight, then I can rerun the toolpath with an allowance to give myself a nice fit. Not too much of an allowance, but you know, a nice allowance. Now, for me, if I don't give it any allowance from the get-go, it's going to be too tight of a fit. So I'm going to give it an allowance on this. So we're going to go 0.4 on the depth. We're going to offset cut this, and on the pocket allowance, now if I did a negative number, it would overcut this. A positive number would undercut. And I want a negative number. I want to overcut it just so slightly, not much. I'm only going 0.005 for the first start. I might even cut it without any allowance for the first run. Check my fit, and then I'm going to come back, and this is going to be my first starting point. If I'm going to give myself an allowance, this is where I'm going to start on that allowance, 0.005, 5/1000ths of an inch allowance. And this is going to be my pin board pocket clearing 0.25 end mill. All right, so let's calculate this, and there's one open vector that was identified. Let's find out what that open vector is. Let's select. Oh, those are my individual lines. They don't need to be there. So let's all right, let me turn off my this, and this, and let me delete those. Oops. Was there one on here? Okay. Let me delete those. All right. Okay. I'm going to go from left to right. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, calculate this. I had those open lines. Oh, there's one more in there. Hold on a second. He's hiding. He's right over here. He's right there. I knew I should have deleted his butt. Gonna use the join tool. All right, it was open. It must not have joined properly. There we go. All right, one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. He was close. He wasn't joined properly, so needed to make sure he was joined. All right, we're going to do a 5/1000 of an inch allowance. I'll do a 5/1000 of an inch allowance. And you see that tool path there. So that bit's going to come in. And it's going to come and cut that out. And I probably want to do this in one pass. See, right now I got the passes set up wrong. Let me stop that after this one. Let's go in here. I want to do it in one pass. I don't want to waste a whole lot of time with milling that stuff down. Edit passes, because there's not a whole lot of material getting removed. All right, let's preview that again. One pass, it should come in and clean that up. One pass, clean that up. One pass, clean that up. That's going to be my pin board. Okay. It's going to be my pin board. All right. It is 9:20. So we actually did pretty good on the timing on this. So we can actually go into Q&A. We've got time for some Q&A on this. Now it's rinse and repeat, guys. Rinse and repeat. You're gonna lay out your tails, get your pins laid out. You know, the position of your pins. You're just looking at that end view, and you want to clear out your waist. Then you want to run that dovetail bit. You're going to clear out your waist, and then you're going to run that pocket with your end mill for your pins and tails and pins. I wish we could see undercuts in the Vectric software, but we just have to use our imagination. Okay. Now you would do each side one, you know, and you would flip it over, do the other, you know, on your tail board. Do the same thing for your pin board, and you'd have 2 tail boards, 2 pin boards. All right. So let's get this. Any questions? Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Now is the time to ask. What did you think of this class? At least give me a little bit of feedback on that as well. What did you think? Could you see yourself down the road? Now this is for carving off the end of the table. This is dovetails off the end of the table in a jig like the Digital Wood Carver's DWC Joint Making Jig. You know, and for those of you that do not know what that is or haven't seen it or anything yet, let's go ahead and give it a little bit of a shout out here. Let's give it a little bit of a shout out. Let me pull it on over here. On our website, our new Joint Maker Jig mounts to the end of the table, allows the comes with the riser and blocks that allow the gantry to carve off the front of the table, and you know, so you can do your through dovetail, half blind dovetails, you can do finger joints, mortise and tenon joints, and everything. So that is the Joint Maker Jig, and holds your material horizontally and vertically, and available now on the Digital Wood Carver website. How wide of a board can the jig handle? So we are looking at the width of this is the width of your 2 inner T-tracks, which I believe is 14 inches wide. So you'd be about a 1x12. Dave, I could see that. I could see that. Yeah, your dovetail jig. Absolutely. But, you know, once you got it set up, now once I create that design, I can cut a multitude of dovetails. All I have to do is clamp the boards in and run them. All right? But yeah, no, interesting way of looking at it. Now, of course, you're only running 2 toolpaths. Keep this in mind, guys and girls. On this, all of the 1/4-inch bits are getting saved as one file. So you're running 2 toolpaths. You're running these toolpaths here as one file. It's going to do it all at once. So when you run that, it's going to do the drilling operation. It's going to come and clear all that out. It's going to come and do the pocket cuts and everything. When it's done, you're going to take and change your bit to your dovetail bit. You're going to run that dovetail bit. Now, let's take a look at times, right? We haven't even looked at times to see how long it would take to run this job and everything. All right, so let's look at our times here. So on the tailboard, 2 minutes and 38 seconds. 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Not counting however long it takes you to put in the dovetail bit. 2 minutes and 38 seconds. For the pin board, 1 minute 36 seconds. Once I have this file, I can cut as many as I need to, but 1 minute and 36 seconds. So overall, a half, if I have a tail and a pin board, 2 sides, overall, let's see, 3 minutes and 54 seconds for one half. The other half, another 3 minutes and 54 seconds. We're about 7 minutes, 8 minutes. So I could have, within 8 to 10 minutes, I could have an entire box made. 15 minutes. So, yes. Yeah. And now what this also leads into, yes, I will be doing this. I'll be demoing this in Atlanta. But what this leads into is, let me see if I have that file, this file here, guys. Bear with me a second. Stand by. Video. Let's see if I can get this to pop up. I wonder how that, I don't know how it'll look on, I don't know if it'll cause any issues and all, but just to give you an example, this is cutting a half blind dovetail. I don't know if it's going to buffer, but hopefully it doesn't. Now this was the prototype jig before the finish. This was when I was doing prototype testing and everything. But now, you can tell it's a prototype because you see I cut too low or too high on one. But, all right, so less than a minute to rock that out. Now, let's see if I've got one more for you. Oh, I don't have it here. It's on the other computer. There's little decorative heart-shaped jigs, dog bones, and silly little corner things. We're going to talk about those in the next series anyway. We're going to create some of them, but you can leave it leaves a whole lot of things open and all. But yeah, so you know, now Dave, once you draw these files and stuff, you've got them and everything, and then you can just clamp your board and you run it. How long does it take you to set up your jig, your jig and run it? Is it under 6 minutes? I'm just kidding. All right, let's see here. Yes, I will be demoing it. Is there a Dovetail Gadget in Aspire? In Vectric V-Carve Desktop Pro and Aspire, there's a Dovetail Gadget. And the Dovetail Gadget within the software is for cutting dovetails on the flat table. Okay? what you're going to do on the flat table when you're cutting dovetails on the flat table, and we'll look at that gadget at a later point, but there's going to be fillets. You're going to have little divots and everything. Let me see if I can find a picture of a table dovetail. CNC dovetail joint. Let me see. Oh, let me see a good one where they took a good picture of the corner. Come on, guys. All right, this is about it's plywood, but you'll get the concept. That's not even a dovetail. Hold on a second. I'll find one. CNC dovetail through dovetail. CNC through dovetail. Oh, this is a good picture. Okay. Let me move this over here. CNC Zone. Way to go, CNC Zone, on illustrating this. So, cutting dovetails on the flat table, you see these little fillets, these little dog bone fillets right here. You're going to have these little dog bone fillets where the bit has to escape. You're going to use most likely an 1/8 inch end mill. And you've got to have a place for that bit to escape. So you're going to have these fillets. Now, they're being clever here, and they're doing a hidden dovetail, meaning it's not a through. It's not completely through because they've got this little skin down here and everything. Very clever, because a through dovetail on the flat table, you would see those little holes. Instead, they're doing a small skin. I would probably say that would be a good 1/16 of an inch or so. They're leaving a skin which hides those dog bone fillets, which is what happens. Those dog bone fillets is what you get when you carve on the flat table, and that would be using the Dovetail jig or gadget within the software. So you would go to gadgets, and do I have a Dovetail gadget set up here already? No, we would just go to gadget shortcuts. Nope, not those gadget shortcuts. Hold on a second. Install about gadgets. Visit the gadget library. It's loading the gadget library. Bum, 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 bum. Let's see here. Vectric community, gadgets, gadget library. The Dovetail Gadget can be used with Vectric V-Carve Pro and Aspire. And this is for cutting dovetails on the flat table. And you see those fillets and everything. Those dog bone fillets, that place for that bit to escape. But yeah, there is a gadget, and it's for Pro and Aspire. All right, let's see here. Could you write a gadget for a new system? Sure. I'm working on a gadget to be able to create these quickly and easily. Now, gadgets, when they're created with Lua scripting, and I'm working on the scripting to submit to Vectric for a few gadgets, but Dovetails is going to be one of them. Dovetail on the end of the table, not on the flat table, but creating these type of dovetails that we just did in tonight's class. So working on it, and that's what this SDK is, working on it. Working. All right, let's see here. It uses riser blocks as well as extensions. William, the riser blocks, it's 1 inch. So the riser blocks attached underneath the gantry, raising it up, and so it basically raises the gantry about 1 inch, and it brings it forward 3 inches. Let's see here. Good class. How wide of a board? We already did that one. About 11 1/4, 12 inches, 13. Warren, good video. I think I learned a few things. Okay, great. Kevin, I suppose you could do both boards at once. Yeah, you could do both boards at once. If it's a 1/4 inch end mill, you could have them set up side by side. You could do both boards at once. We could draw that in. We would just create a longer, instead of a 3 inch board here, we would have a 6 inch. So if I change my job setup, and I'd probably put a spacer between them, or maybe not, probably not. Yeah, I would. I'd put a spacer because I don't want my pen board getting hit with the router bit. But we'd go, so if it's 3 inch, 6, and I'll go 6 1/2. I'll have a 1/2 inch spacer between the two, separation between the two. And if I came in, oh, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. And if I grabbed all of this, except for that, let's see here. Could set them up side by side, and let's see here. These vectors, the reason why I'm grabbing them is they're already calculated on. And so I can come back in and turn on my and if I were to recalculate all the tool paths, and previewed all the tool paths, oh, that was selected. Let's try preview all tool paths. I'd have that 1/2 inch spacer, but yeah, I could do 2 ends. Flip them over, do the other 2 ends. Flip them over 180 degrees. Sure could. Surely could. Yep. All right. Here, let me, gonna drive me nuts. Half inch wide, 0.5. And let's center that, F9. What size is my board? Hold on a second. 6.5. 3 and 3 is 6. Half is 1/4. That should be overhanging halfway. Yeah. I'm just trying to simulate Oh, you're killing me, Laney. You're killing me, son. You're killing me. Stand by. All right, if I preview all the tool paths, so yeah, to answer that question, yes, you could. You just got to draw it in the software. You got to set it up just like you draw it. All right, let's see here. Got some more coming in here. Yeah, Tippy, come on. Do it, buddy. Let's see here. When adding the extension blocks, will it change the X or Y axis for regular work? The X axis, it does. The Y axis, no. It's just raising it up 1 inch. But on the X axis, because it's bringing the gantry forward 3 inches, you're gaining 3 inches on the front side of the table over the front. You're losing 3 inches on the back side. Will the risers work with the Mini and the desktop software? No, Peter. The Mini has no capabilities of extending forward over the tabletop or anything like that. Only the 2440s. Yeah, the Mini carvers don't have those type of updates, upgrades, or attachments available to it. Gotta upgrade, Peter. Upgrade. You can trade that one in towards the 2440. Sure, the kids would love that. Let's see here. You're welcome, guys. Ronnie, you're welcome. You're welcome. Good night, Dave. Montana, Paul. Good, Paul. Hopefully, and you, especially Paul. Now, you being new, that's awesome that you were able to pick up a few tips from this. Maybe you picked up just a few how to use a couple of the tools and stuff. This a little bit jumping ahead for you. You just got your machine, so that's great if you picked up something from it. Awesome. Will the 2-inch riser blocks work with the dovetail jig, since you said the dovetail jig comes with 1-inch riser blocks? No, but we're talking about creating a set of 2-inch riser blocks that also bring the gantry forward, because some users do have the 2-inch riser blocks and they may need them for whatever reason, and they may want to do both. We're looking at that, but right now it's 1-inch riser blocks with the that brings the gantry forward and up. You'd either be using the 1-inch riser blocks if you're doing dovetails, or the 2-inch. You'd be changing them out, and we're looking at to see if there's an option for a 2-inch riser block that has that forward extension on it. Not sure yet, because we got to think about cantileveredness and all that stuff, and stability and all. So we have to look at that. William. But it brings your Z height from a 5-inch to a 6-inch Z height with the 1-inch riser block. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 9:44. We're going to go till about 9:45, and we're going to say goodnight. I think everybody has got a brain full of stuff. We covered a lot. You know, hopefully you will get something out of a couple of those tools or what have you. You know, the use of some of your tools and everything. And hopefully you picked up something from this, and you know, who knows? I'd love to see some dovetail boxes in the future come out of you guys and girls. Now, next week we're going to talk about half-blind dovetails, and we're going to look at how we would create those. They're a little bit more involved. Not bad. They're actually a little bit easier to do. But at the same time, we're going to talk about finger joints. We're going to talk about the finger joint gadget that's out there for Vectric. We're going to talk about creating those finger joints, and then mortise and tenons. We might tie a couple of these into one, because there's not a whole lot to like a mortise and tenon. We might tie that in with the finger joints. But this is episode 1 of the joinery series. Then we're also going to get into those funny little heart shape, bone shape, you know, key shape, whatever, you know, type of joints and stuff. And then also, it's not just about end joiner. There's also side joinery and things, and framing and stuff that we can look at, that we can do with the CNC. Some really cool stuff. So stay tuned for all of those type of classes. Now, we're going to put some other classes in between the joinery series. We're not going to run them full back-to-back type thing, you know, because everybody will get kind of fed up with joints and all. We'll probably space them out a little bit, but next week we will finish up the dovetail side of things, because we're going to do the half blind. Then we'll talk about a little bit of the decorative dovetails and stuff. And then we're going to go into something else. I'm not sure what the following week will be, but then we'll come back and we'll talk about finger joints and mortise and tenons and things. All right, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for spending this time with me. See you soon.
I want to thank you for joining us tonight on Spindle TV, your best source for CNC CAD/CAM training videos. If you're watching Spindle TV on YouTube, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. You can find out more information about our training and products by visiting us at www.digitalwoodcarver.com.